What's up, rockers, and welcome back to another episode of Rocks Gaming. This here is actually the first episode of Black Ops 3 for the channel since Black Ops 3 has come out, and I have given you guys my excuses before, but I'm really sorry that I haven't put up any videos recently, because I've been really busy with schoolwork and things like that, but we're finally putting up a video, so that's a very good thing. Today, actually, I found it very interesting. You know, in media and in the news and things like that, you'll often see video games are very strictly given a negative correlation and connotation to it, because a lot of people have this sense of thought that violent video games are going to cause violence in real life for juveniles and adolescents and things like that. Personally, I don't believe that, but I thought it would be interesting to just do some research just to see if there's actually anything out there that can help to disprove this, not necessarily to prove a point, not necessarily to just do anything, but I just was kind of curious, and I found some really cool information, so I thought that I might share it here on gameplay commentary for you on this first Black Ops 3 video. By the way, this video is actually very interesting. I'm spending the video trying to upgrade my pistol, and for whatever reason, before my connection decided to time out towards the end of the video, there was very little kills in this entire gameplay. I don't really know why, but I think there was a total of 17 kills for my team, which was winning, by the way, at the end of the match. But there was only a total of 17 by the time that the game actually disconnected, and it was after a total of 5 minutes of gameplay. So it was a little bit strange. I found it weird, but whatever. We're gonna jump right in. Without further ado, let's get to it.
Research and studies suggest that video games alone cannot be used as an excuse for juvenile violence. Now, just to make the statement, all studies that I took research from took place in the United States, making this a direct area of concern and does not necessarily relate to other nations around the world. So, video games are not the only form of violent media, first of all. Since the early 1990s, violent crimes, especially for juveniles, have dropped by over 1/3. Conversely, video games such as first- and third-person shooters, role-playing games, and action-adventure titles have increased in popularity, gaining revenue and sales slowly over time. Researchers such as Lawrence Kuttner and Cheryl K. Olson expressed that the exposure to violence in video games has no different effect on children than the media of past generations, such as movies, music, television, radio, or novels. In addition, there are no legitimate studies that have been conducted to determine whether violent video games are more or less harmful towards juveniles than other forms of media. There cannot be a conclusion drawn that states that video games are truly causing juveniles to commit criminal actions by themselves. Secondly, it takes more than media to create a criminal. It has been found that there is still a necessity for alternative influence, such as mental illness or exposure to actual violence, to induce a violent reaction to this media. Without this alternative influence, one cannot justify actions based purely on media, as they are fictional games created for the means of entertainment and cannot realistically be taken seriously. This is the same justification that can be used for other forms of media for past generations. These researchers draw the conclusion that any criticism that states otherwise is either based on poor research or is an incomplete report of the information that was discovered. They also make the point that there are millions of students and juveniles who play these video games, yet the world has not fallen into any kind of state or chaos based solely upon children committing violent crimes, providing further evidence that there is no guarantee or correlation, for that matter, that video game violence influences real-world violence. Third, relations between game violence and criminal violence. Now, other studies were actually completed in order to attempt to determine the relations between family violence, game violence, and violent crime. In general, though, these studies tend to negate the correlation with game violence and instead show that family violence was the only viable tie to criminal action within the studies. There is also research that has been conducted that helps to prove that video games can actually help juveniles, like teaching lessons and helping to master skills, just to name a few. And finally, the parental role in video game viewership is critical. There are, in fact, a high number of parents who do monitor the video game consumption of their children, as well as the content of these games. According to Entertainment Software Association, 70% of parents will check a game's rating before purchase, and 88% believe that the ESRB rating is helpful and or accurate. In addition, about 84% of parents will place limits as to how long their children are allowed to play games, and 85% are aware of the ratings of the games that their children are playing. These statistics help to show that a majority of parents are aware of the games that their children are playing, yet still accept that they are okay to play, despite the violence that may be present. Also, a majority of the most violent video games on the market can be properly placed in the mature category of the rating system, while less violent games are placed in the teen category. However, there are much fewer of these mature games created each year than there are games created for all ages, which helps to show that there is a definite difference between those two subject areas. So in order to reflect upon the evidence provided, there is no substantial negative presented that stands against violent video games and the effects that they have caused on society. And in the words of Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, psychological studies purporting to show a connection between exposure to violent video games and harmful effects on children do not prove that such exposure causes minors to act aggressively. Thank you guys for watching this video. This research did take a little while to actually uncover, and I actually did write up a small research study over on the LGRokz Productions blog, if you want to take a look at that. All of the sources that I used in this commentary will actually be listed below, and you'll be able to see all of them with links, and as well as the link for the blog post will be there as well. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I really do hope you enjoyed it and thought you found it hoped you found it interesting. If you did, please leave a like, a comment, or subscribe to our channel, because that is much appreciated as always. And thank you for checking out, and I will see you guys in the next one.